Welcome once again to Super Start Select, the supersized serving of Start Select that sends off your working week in style. I'm the internet's Guy Cocker.
I'm Jane. Coming up on today's show, we've got news, an early look at Deus Ex Human Revolution's first bit of story DLC, your feedback, and then Guy gets murdered in Gears of War 3 a whole bunch.
In the news today, we hear how Uncharted started out as a fantasy-style adventure. Don Poole, who was an environment artist at developer Naughty Dog back in the early days of Uncharted, told website NowGamer about one concept based on a forest world where the antagonist lived underground, saying it had elements of Tolkien in it for sure.
Poole says at the time there was a lot of internal grumbling about the more realistic games Sony pushed for instead, with an eye on the dominance of gritty shooters.
Still did them alright in the end.
On the topic of fantasy games that won't see the light of day, there's no Enslaved 2 in the works, says the studio behind the pretty action-adventure title Enslaved, and upcoming Devil May Cry people DMC.
Tamim Antoniades of Ninja Theory told Edge magazine Enslaved just didn't do well enough in sales terms to spark a sequel. Enslaved should have done better, he told Edge. Right now, we should have been doing a sequel and perfecting that sequel and doing what franchises do, which is get better over time.
Instead of expanding into two teams, one for Enslaved 2 and one for DMC, he says the studio at least gets another chance with its Devil May Cry reboot.
Just like you get another chance at customising your Adam Jensen in The Missing Link, a new downloadable chapter for Deus Ex Human Revolution, as we see here.
It's only a matter of time before my men find you, Jensen.
You know that bit in a video game when you get captured and thrown in jail and they take away all your weapons and sometimes your clothes?
I hope you have a plan.
But luckily the guards are rubbish, and also they've stashed all your equipment in a handy storage chamber just through the north doors.
Our equipment should be in a storage chamber just through the north doors.
That's Deus Ex Human Revolution, The Missing Link. And this is your first and last spoiler warning. Although we're not going all out on the plot spoilers, this slice of downloadable content fits into the story of the Deus Ex Human Revolution main game quite late on, filling in a previously mysterious 3-day gap in which our augmented protagonist, Adam Jensen, goes off the grid after and before he winds up in a So if you haven't finished Human Revolution yet and you don't want any clues about where it's all heading, look away now and for the next couple of minutes.
Clear landing pad for liftoff.
Alright, so back to The Missing Link, in which hyper-gruff hero man Adam Jensen gets captured after attempting to stow away from that port in Hengsha in a hibernation pod, aboard a ship belonging to the powerful private security outfit Bell Tower. He's strapped into a Jensen-proof EMP chair and roughed up by Bell Tower's Lieutenant Natanya Keitner and talked at by high-ranking Bell Tower operative Pieter Burke. You see both of them in the trailer. They take away all his weapons and some of his clothes and all his fancy augmentations. Sound familiar? Okay. Your augments are reset to factory 0. This means your augmentation talent trees are reset and you've initially got no praxis points to spend. But it's not like you're suddenly a rubbish, all-natural, unaugmented human. It's more like being back at the beginning of the game just after Jensen gets rebuilt. So at least to start with, you'll be without your high-end augments such as the Icarus landing system or the Typhoon explosive system, but you'll have your killer cyborg starter kit, the single takedown move and the radar minimap, etc. On the Tumblr page for the game's developer Eidos Montreal, marketing bod David Bedard writes, "The Missing Link is about a fresh start for Adam. New orgs, new weapons, new situation as the underdog. Since it is shorter than the main game, this is the time to experiment." The Missing Link gives you a chance to respec basically and try out some new tricks in which you didn't invest points back in your Human Revolution playthrough. Could it be you come across some praxis kits along the way? Yes, it could. This downloadable content is a standalone chapter in the sense that it's not integrated into the game, but you must have the game in order to play it. You access it from the main menu rather than from within one of your save games, and you can select a new difficulty setting too. Also, this DLC doesn't affect the main game. Your new augmentation set won't be carried back over into Deus Ex Human Revolution. The episode takes place in two largish areas as opposed to across proper quest hubs like Detroit or Hengsha. So it's a bit more linear than the rest of the game in the sense there are seemingly fewer side missions, but there are still all kinds of alternative routes around the levels. The first of the two areas is the Bell Tower Freighter, which is yours to explore. You'll be hopping around shipping containers and moving gantries, getting rained on up on deck, and investigating the ship's shady cargo. all the while being guided over your infolink communicator by a mysterious faceless hacker who just wants to help you out and probably doesn't have an agenda of his own. If you've already completed Deus Ex Human Revolution, you don't need us to tell you to check all the shipping containers for goodies and that Jensen-sized air vents are your friend. The whole episode is about 5 hours long, but of course that could take much more or less time depending on the way you play. If, like us, you can't leave an area until all the guards have been knocked unconscious and stacked in a broom cupboard in alphabetical order, it will take considerably longer. And in case you're thinking of your precious hard drive space rather than your precious free time, Eidos Montreal says the download will be upwards of 1.5 gig, complete with 250 achievement points or 10 trophies. Exact pricing and a release date are yet to be revealed, but the missing link will be available sometime in October.
Please. I just want to go home.
I want to help you. But you've got to stay calm.
With Gears of War 3 just out this week and sales presumably exploding like some kind of lambent ticker stuffed with TNT and strapped to a red barrel, you might well be among the many hitting up Horde mode this weekend.
Or indeed any Gears of War 3 mode. But your experience could be better still, did you know, with the addition of a real console case light-up action every time you get curb stomped.
That's thanks to the licensed Gears of War 3 Vault case, as we see here.
You know how you've always wanted your Xbox 360 to glow bright red every time you die?
No.
That's right! Now at last you can have exactly that with Calibur11's specially licensed Gears of War 3 Vault, a case for the Xbox 360 Slim with a custom painted bleed-out chassis.
Ew.
And light-up skull and cog insignia on the side. On the other, it's a duckbill platypus thing.
It's a controller cradle.
Sure, it's a controller cradle. You know how you were sick and tired of having your Xbox 360 controller touching the floor?
No.
That's right. And now at last you can prevent exactly that with Calibur's patented duckbill controller hook, on which your 360 pad gently rests like so. It snuggles gently against the newer Xbox 360 console and fits together in 4 easy steps, like so.
Much like novelty Christmas fairy lights, the Calibur11 Gears of War 3 Vault lights up in a number of different modes. It draws power from a USB slot in the back, and you can have it light up the centre, light the perimeter, light all, and more excitingly, even than those modes, are the ones in which the light reacts to your being down by a locust. Let's watch.
Here you can have the centre light glow when you get mullered, or have all the lighting come alive to celebrate your murderification, or the dynamic mortality-linked high-frequency variable illumination option.
So that's the Gears of War 3 Calibur11 Vault case. Check the URL below for more. When we've wrapped up Start Select, we upload the video, sit back and watch the comments roll in, basking in the glow of positive feedback.
Don't forget the comments moaning about how we say beta, or the people taking the piss out of my name, or obsessing about your hair.
Right. We also get people commenting about the things in the show that have changed their lives. We share the best of these right here.
First up, unanimous support for developer From Software, who've been griefing unauthorized early Dark Souls players by sending in super powerful enemies to take them down.
Captain Rex Kramer says, I think the developers of Dark Souls have come up with a great way to punish those jumping the gun with the game release. I hope this trend continues. Now, if only they could find a way to punish those cheating in the multiplayer forum, that would be a blessing.
User Mr. Al White agrees, saying, God bless the Dark Souls developer. Brilliant idea. The dead NG then goes feral, saying, kill them one by one. Don't let them do anything. In your face, you thought you can play the game early, will think again. Way to F up people's S From Software.
Galugan Bat, meanwhile, thought that Mark may have been unfair when he satirised Gears of War 3's Dominic Santiago and his love of gardening. Don't underestimate the nutritional value of radishes, he said, linking us to a page containing data on said nutritional value. They can be complemented with just a little more meat to give even meatheads like the Cog Soldiers all the protein they need.
But for GameSpot user Shadow, Mark's video put Gears of War's cast of burly men into a whole new light. He says, I just realised that the term well-oiled cog shall forevermore hold vaguely homoerotic overtones. Well, Shadow, this one's for you. Everyone else will catch you next time. He says, I just realised that the term whale... that wasn't the one.
Whale oiled cog.
Whale oiled cog. That's not... we don't want whales in our Gears of War. Sorry.
Oh, how do you want to do
You were
this?
making a noise, Seb. Are you alright?
Oh man, now when people don't
People
know how
won't
I
get it.
feel about science, it's just like, she what science?